The Galactic Empire did not fear the unknown. They had conquered 12 spiral arms, subdued 4 sentient machine races, and forced empires of thoughtless cruelty into compliance. So when their intelligence reports described an ancient, solitary human known only as Baba Yaga, residing in an uncolonized section of post-collapse Russia, they sent an execution squad with no hesitation. Orbital scans showed a forest twisted around a single hut, inexplicably cloaked from drones and satellite. Command assumed it was some planetary superstition, a relic of humanity's past. The report was clear. Eliminate the last local insurgent, a remnant from Earth's pre-interstellar Accord rebellion, a witch by human folklore. The squad descended silently. They didn't return. The next squad deployed heavier. Met. Scorched earth. Missiles. Bioscramblers. Still nothing. Until one day the Empire declared her dead. Not because they had confirmed the kill. No body, no transmission, not even wreckage remained, but because the Empire could not admit failure. The edict was issued in the Imperial Register. Baba Yaga, terminated. Resistance in Terran sectors, null. 4 days later, a listening post orbiting Tau Ceti went dark. 10 seconds of garbled static, followed by silence. When recovery teams arrived, they found the station's walls pulped inward, like a black hole had momentarily blinked into existence. No signs of attack. No atmosphere. No survivors. Only a single phrase, etched in jagged strokes across the captain's chair in ancient Cyrillic: "You should not have touched her." Humanity did not mourn Baba Yaga openly. Most thought she was a myth, a bedtime story for off-world colonies to keep children wary of the dark. But those who truly knew Earth's soul recognized what had happened. And those humans did not scream or rally. They prepared. Quietly. Earth was no longer a central power. Most of its inhabitants had migrated centuries ago to the ringed bastions around Saturn or the Mars-Forge arches. But when news spread, among navigators on Europa, mercenaries stationed in the Icebelt, miners in the Eridani Gulch, every human who remembered the old stories moved. They didn't ask for authorization. The Empire noticed strange patterns. Weapon shipments disappeared. Phantom signals triangulated to no known ship. Black sites were raided in microseconds of hacked security downtime. But there were no claims. No messages. No declaration of war. Then came the defection. A high-ranking human embedded within the Empire's military intelligence, Director Vectral, walked into the Galactic Senate chamber and shot himself through the throat with a Terran rail spike. No message. Only an implant upload timed with his death. An exabyte of classified fleet positions, blind spots, command nodes, and ship blueprints, sent directly to human-controlled relay points hidden in forgotten satellite. The first blow struck on the outer perimeter. 1,000 kilometers of battleship graveyard orbited Marnak 7, stripped by human scavenger cells, now refitted with dark matter compression drives. The Empire watched as 32 decommissioned hulks disappeared into slipspace and reappeared inside their own fleet yards. Shipyards burned. Titan-class carriers folded in on themselves. No warning. No pattern. Just pain, precise and surgical. The Galactic Empire tried to identify the force behind it. But it wasn't a nation. It wasn't a fleet. It was humanity, raw, fractured, untethered from treaties, bound only by rage. A transmission was intercepted, a voice grim and unrelenting. "You killed our myth. Now we'll show you why you should have let her sleep." From the asteroid vaults of Proxima to the Black Labs under Ganymede, sleeper cells activated. They didn't need orders. Each knew their target. The Empire's internal planets were soon plagued with ghost strikes. Power grids fried by solar resonance, black holes appearing in databanks, command relays overwritten with Earth nursery rhymes and ancient Slavic chants. Soldiers defected. Officers vanished. Admirals sent distress calls to command, only to receive old Terran music in return. The Empire retaliated in force, glassing colonies suspected of harboring insurgents. They leveled 5 moons. But the more they struck, the fewer humans they found. And always, a message: she was more than a woman. She was the promise that we never forget. Now neither will you. At the center of the storm, a man known only as Casimir moved unseen. A former Black Ops architect, declared dead after the fall of Titan, now reborn as the Hammer of Vengeance. He did not command. He whispered. And entire systems bled in response. Casimir's first major operation crippled the Argivan sector, a resource-rich belt crucial to the Empire's deep space logistics. Using a decoy battle salvage ship, he embedded a quantum slip bomb in the sector's sun core mining rig. The result: an artificial solar flare that engulfed 3 fleets, leaving nothing but charred hulls drifting like broken bones. The message broadcast immediately after was in Russian, undecipherable to most of the galaxy. But every human understood it. Baba Yaga waits in the dark. The Empire assembled a war council. They called on allies, conscripted vassal species, increased surveillance. But it didn't matter. Humans didn't fight like empires. They fought like stories come alive, feral, vengeful, unkillable. Where soldiers died, another dozen rose. Where bases fell, new ones erupted like plague. Entire databases were purged, only to find backups overwritten with children's drawings of forests and chicken-legged hut. The Empire declared martial law across 6 sectors. Casimir released his next stroke, a synthetic plague engineered not to kill, but to induce waking nightmares drawn from subjects' deepest fears. The afflicted saw visions of black forests, pale women with iron teeth, and whispers promising death. Officers broke. Commanders begged for reassignment. One admiral detonated her own flagship, screaming that the forest had found her. Still, there were no demands. No central figure. Just death, disorder, and the growing realization that this was not a war for territory or conquest. It was vengeance. Holy and absolute. The Empire's official line was that panic was beneath them. But silence was louder than any scream. Dozens of governors refused to leave their strongholds. Sector admirals rerouted fleets from front lines to escort their own families to classified locations. Civilian unrest ignited across the midrim. Propaganda ministers broadcast holoreels of calm, of Empire strength and victory. But everyone could hear the crack in their voices. The Empire's outer colonies no longer feared rebellion. They feared the humans who moved without rank, without flag, without mercy. Casimir was not a leader in the traditional sense. He gave no speeches. His face was rarely seen. Yet the damage he orchestrated reshaped the theater of war. He deployed memory virus payloads through hyperspace traffic lanes, infecting every navigation AI across 6 sectors. Imperial vessels began rerouting through radiation storms, asteroid belts, and straight into each other. The resulting chaos crippled fleet efficiency for weeks. 143 capital ships lost, not in combat, but through blind confusion. The Empire finally began to grasp the scale of human retaliation. This wasn't a rogue cell. This wasn't terrorism. This was cultural vengeance turned into interstellar law. The myth they had dared to erase had become the organizing principle of every fractured Terran asset. The war wasn't being fought for territory. It was fought for wrath. Fleet Admiral Krethar Yelvas ordered direct strikes against Terran-aligned bastions. He targeted Erebos Station, a black site orbiting a neutron star, formerly deemed too strategically insignificant to conquer. The station, now human-controlled, was detected launching encrypted packets toward dozens of deep void buoys. When the dread carrier Imperium Spine arrived, it found no station. Only a message. She was the shadow that watched you sleep. Now you've awakened her. 3 seconds later, the neutron star erupted. Not naturally. Artificial destabilization triggered by a gravity-inverted borehole, something long theorized but never built. The spine was vaporized. 30,000 lives gone in a blink. The Empire's war cabinet authorized total escalation. Strategic bombardments across Terran-affiliated sectors. Civilians included. The logic was simple: end the breeding ground of myth. End the culture that bred such retaliation. Entire orbital habitats over Io were annihilated. Martian biolabs vaporized. Saturn's ring habitats crushed. What the Empire didn't understand was that every strike made the next retaliation inevitable. Humanity responded in layers. Tactical ghost fleets attacked slipgate junctions, halting transit between entire clusters. Freelance war priests from old Earth cults slipped onto capital worlds and set off neurosync bombs, devices that didn't kill, but deleted memory cores in real time. An entire planetary command network forgot its own identity. Officers woke up mid-sentence, unable to remember their names. The chaos bred infighting. Whole units turned on each other. Then came the artifact deployment. Human cells retrieved relics, mythically charged tech never catalogued by any formal military. Devices drawn from places like the Tunguska vaults, Siberian black sites, and Arctic echo stations. Some still bore wood carvings from Earth's pre-digital eras, others hummed with zero-point entropy. The first was released on Kael'tor Prime, the Empire's cultural capital. What looked like a chest made of ancient pine was delivered to a museum under forged diplomatic clearance. Inside was a kinetic ritual device. No power source, no visible energy emission. But when opened, every resident in the city experienced a shared dream. In it, a hut stood on chicken legs. Inside it, a figure stirred a cauldron of stars. 78% of the population committed suicide within a week. Those who survived were declared mentally unfit for service. The planet was quarantined. Casimir released no statement. No claim. Only a single line appeared across every broadcast screen in the system. Not everything sleeps forever. Some things wait until the galaxy forgets how to fear. The war was no longer about who had more ships or bigger guns. The Empire had billions under arms, but they were fighting a species who had taught themselves war as memory, pain as legacy. The death of Baba Yaga had been a spark. Now the whole galaxy burned under the weight of humanity's inheritance. Imperial agents attempted diplomacy. Back-channel emissaries offered to lift restrictions on Terran trade, even grant them autonomous sectors. Their messages went unanswered. One envoy arrived at a neutral station to plead directly with whoever represented Earth's forces. They were greeted not by officers, but by a 10-year-old girl. She offered tea. When the envoy blinked, the girl was gone. In her place stood an old woman, hands red with what looked like ink but smelled like rust. "You killed what made us quiet," she said. When the envoy tried to leave, he found his vessel missing. The entire station gone. His memory corrupted. All he could recall was the scent of pine, the creak of old wood, and the echoing call of a crow overhead. He was found 6 months later, drifting in an escape pod with fingernails carved down to the bone and an expression of calm resignation on his face. Casimir did not stop. Next came the mirror phase. Human operatives infiltrated simulation systems used to train new recruits. They laced the systems with sympathetic identity scramblers. Recruits began developing false memories of being Terran. When they awoke, they rebelled. 8 training academies lost control. One entire station revolted mid-ceremony, declaring allegiance to the one who walks on iron legs. The Empire issued a psychological warfare alert. Military AI were instructed to purge any references to Earth folklore. It was too late. The damage wasn't digital, it was ancestral. Even species previously loyal to the Empire began defecting. The Lokar, a psionic reptilian race known for their dream communion, turned after their planetary elders experienced a collective vision of a woman whose footsteps turned stars into dust. She said nothing, but her silence broke their minds. The Lokar declared neutrality. The Empire lost 3 sectors overnight. Casimir's final blow of the second wave came during the assembly of Sithris, a grand convergence of all major imperial scientists to counteract the human threat through rational, technological solutions. A conference that spanned half a moon station, guarded by 3 dreadnoughts. Midway through the keynote address on counter-mimetic warfare, the screens went black. Then an image played. It showed a hut standing alone in the snow, surrounded by bones. Smoke curling from its chimney. A door creaked open. And then, nothing. Every AI on the station shut down. Every implanted device shorted. Every speaker played a lullaby, ancient and Russian, recorded from Earth's oldest archives. A melody that should not have reached across space and time. By the end of the song, every light on the station dimmed. When the Empire's relief fleet arrived, they found a fully intact station. But no one left alive. Not a mark on the walls. Not a single body out of place. Just silence. And the scent of ash and winter. The message arrived shortly after. She is not gone. She is in all of us now. They tried containment next. Every border locked. Every Terran descendant flagged. Stations were ordered to incinerate any vessel without a verified galactic registry. The Empire purged databanks of anything Earthborn. The penalty for speaking Terran dialects became public vaporization. 1 million suspected sympathizers executed in 72 hours. It didn't stop them. Humanity didn't invade. They seeped. Entire sectors stopped reporting. Not from loss of infrastructure but from silence. Worlds functioned as if nothing was wrong. Transports moved, trade flowed, systems flickered green, but when questioned, no one remembered their governor's name. Or the flag they served under. Or why the stars looked a little dimmer each night. One Empire observer, stationed on Dalekar 4, managed to send a single line before going dark. They're not replacing minds. They're rewriting meaning. The Empire activated Project Pale Sun, a failsafe developed to reset control by bombarding dissident systems with zero-point entropy bursts, erasing all quantum-entangled memory structures. It was a clean slate. Total erasure of everything digital, everything biological. It worked. Once. When the second deployment launched, the entropy bursts reversed mid-flight. Not only did they fail to erase, they began reconstructing ancient Earth signals. Poetry. Nursery rhymes. Tactical schematics written in dead languages. Entire fleet AI cores overwritten with verses from Slavic lullabies and maps of long-buried Terran catacombs. Ships turned on themselves. Officers executed each other whispering about iron mortars and bone pestles. One cruiser broadcast a single phrase before self-destruction. She is walking again. The Empire convened its inner chamber for the first time in 900 cycles. Only 7 members of the original 21 showed. The others were missing. Or worse, still seated, staring straight ahead, speaking in Earthborn riddles no one had taught them. Panic could no longer be denied. They deployed the oracles, biological minds grown for singular purpose, to predict absolute threats. Encased in thought sarcophagi, suspended outside of time, they processed futures like math. Each came back with the same result. The war was already lost. Not tactically. Culturally. What the Empire failed to realize was that killing the Baba Yaga hadn't destroyed a symbol, it had activated a boundary. She wasn't a goddess or a commander. She was a warning. A line humans drew in their stories to define what must never be crossed. When the Empire killed her, they erased that boundary. Humanity no longer had a myth to contain their darkness. And so the darkness stepped forward. Casimir was seen only once. In a secured deep vault footage retrieved from an abandoned relay station orbiting Trelkai. He wasn't armored. No weapons. Just a man in a dark coat, dragging a sled through void dust, alone. He looked at the camera, smiled, and vanished. 3 days later, Trelkai's sun inverted. Not collapsed. Not extinguished. Inverted. The laws of physics failed. Time stuttered. Light fell inward. Everything became silence. Humanity said nothing. They left behind a letter, etched into the orbital remains of the station, burned in languages that no living creature spoke anymore. We are the myth now. Entire fleets defected without being attacked. Crews abandoned their posts, choosing to enter cryo rather than face what came next. One admiral, veteran of 3 wars, suffocated himself with his own command ribbon. His final written words were, "She's under my skin. I dream in forests. My ship creaks like trees in winter. I see her bones when I blink." The final phase came without announcement. Humanity never raised a flag, never declared a capital. They didn't need to. The galaxy began shifting itself around their memory. Planets once named for emperors were renamed in Terran script, with no one able to remember the transition. Libraries archived Earth mythology as history. Statues of Baba Yaga appeared in cities that never knew her. Carved of local stone. Weighted with reverence. The Empire's last remaining High Lord attempted to address the Senate. His speech began with imperial rhetoric: order, control, unification. But mid-sentence, he froze. His voice cracked. He said, "She is behind me." Then fell dead. Not assassinated. No wounds. Just gone. The senators fled. But the chamber locked. The lights dimmed. And then, the sound. Wood creaking. No one escaped. Across the stars, the war ended without conclusion. No surrender. No peace. Just transition. The galaxy began to forget the Empire. Not violently. Naturally. As though it had never been. New governments formed, many human, some hybrid. But all with an unspoken rule. No one desecrated stories. No one mocked old names. Shrines to the hut on chicken legs appeared on border world. Unstaffed, untouched. Offerings left by strangers. Pine branches. Little shoes. Soup bowls. When Terran diplomats finally spoke to surviving species, they didn't demand tribute. They asked one question. "Do you remember why we warned you not to kill her?" Most couldn't answer. Those who could wept. Casimir's final broadcast came on a frequency not used since Earth's 20th century. Analog, monochrome, with snow-flecked static. His face barely visible. No threat. No boast. Just one sentence. "We grieved her quietly. You silenced that grief. Now the galaxy knows what silence really is." He signed off, and was never seen again. The galaxy moved on. But differently. War was no longer declared lightly. Children were taught not just history but the stories behind it. Myth became law. Not enforced. Remembered. And every so often, in deep space, a patrol would find a hut standing on a comet's surface. Legs curled beneath it. A chimney breathing thin smoke. No life detected. But the stars around it would spin just slightly wrong. Just enough to remind the galaxy. Some stories are alive. And some mistakes, once made, echo forever.